Okay guys, so today we're going to talk about the importance of geography. So go ahead and flip to the second page in your packet, and I'm going to read the objectives. The first objective is I can identify the key themes of geography, and the second objective is I can argue the importance of the study of geography. So we'll come back to these when we're finished with the lesson and see if you guys have met these objectives. Okay, so I'm going to read you guys a short passage. These are just bullet points about the big ideas of geography and why geography is important. Geography is important to learn and understand how the world's basic physical systems work and affect our everyday life. For example, the role the sun plays in providing heat and life on Earth, and how wind and ocean currents affect the weather. This not only helps us to better predict and prepare for severe weather, but also how we can use the Earth's resources for our benefit. To learn about other cultures, where they live, and how their location and climate affects their lifestyle. This can help us understand their differences as well as similarities we all share. To learn more about geography of a different era and the role it played in people's lives, environments, and ideas. Geography plays a major role in history and has helped mold the world we live in today. To learn all the different places on Earth as well as their cultural and physical characteristics in order to be more productive and effective in a world that has become interdependent. Considering how global our market economies have become, it's important to know more about countries and their locations to better understand the effect they have on the market. To have a better understanding of society and why we live in the places we do. How has urbanization changed the world and its societies? Why did certain areas flourish while others didn't? Geography helps us understand why certain locations are ideal for living and why others are not. To better understand why and how global interdependence has grown, technological breakthroughs in transportation have not only made this world smaller, but have also created societies that depend on external resources. Some areas are ideal for agriculture, while other areas are rich in natural resources such as metals. You need metal for one place to build the machines that work the land in another. To have a better appreciation of Earth as our home and have better understanding of its limitations. Knowing how much resources are available can help us be more responsible in the way we manage and treat our home. So that's just a basic overview of why geography is important. So what we're going to do right off the bat is I want you guys to turn to your third page. And this is a concept ladder. So what we're going to do is, with the ideas that I just talked about, I want you guys to write a question in each of these boxes. And I want the top box to be something that's very broad about why geography is important, something that you're interested in. And then I want them to get more specific as you go. So maybe try and predict ahead to things that we're going to talk about within geography and what you want to learn about. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to do that, and then we'll talk about it when we're done. And when you're writing your questions, try and think back to some of the things that I talked about history and agriculture, and some of those things can guide your questions. That's a good question. We're actually going to talk about that in our reading. If you guys don't get them all done, that's okay, but we'll do about 2 more minutes, so just try and fill in a couple so that we can talk about them. Okay, looks like you guys are pretty much finished up, so we can move on. If you guys want to fill some stuff in later, that's fine too. Okay, so this worksheet is called a concept ladder. So does anybody know what the purpose of this would be for the lesson? Yeah.
Maybe to organize our thoughts.
Yep, organize your thoughts, and that's exactly right, because we want to be thinking ahead about things that we're going to possibly be reading about in the future. And so this is going to help you do that. It's also going to give you guys each other ideas of things that you're thinking about, and maybe you guys haven't thought about what your peers have been thinking about. Okay, so we're just going to have, you guys can pick your 2 favorite questions, or maybe the questions that you hope that we cover the most, and I'll write them on the board so we can visit them later. So Alicia, you want to tell me what one of yours is?
I had, how does geography features affect where people live?
How does geography features
Affect where people live.
affect where people live? That's a good question. That's one of the things that was specifically mentioned in my reading before, so I'm glad you were paying attention. Okay, Michael, what's one of your questions?
I have, what are the differences in everyday life for different cultures?
In everyday life, that, what?
In everyday life for different cultures.
Oh, 4 different cultures.
Mhm.
I'm glad that you're thinking ahead, because I think that we're going to talk about that in our reading. Okay, Hannah, what's one of your questions that you had?
Either one of these 2. How does climate change affect us people, or how does technology influence?
Geography? That's a good one. How does technology, what did you write? Influence.
Geography.
That's a good one, and that's also, okay. Okay, Alicia, what's your second question that you want to share?
Why should we learn about geography?
That's perfect. Was that one of your questions at the top of your pyramid or at the bottom?
At the top.
At the top, good. Why should we learn about geography? That's perfect, because that really is about the big idea of why geography is important. Why should we learn about geography? Okay, Michael, what's your second question?
I had, why are some cultures industrial, and other cultures agricultural.
Okay. What are some cultures industrial and others are, what did you say?
Agricultural.
That's perfect. Did you have that on the top of your pyramid or closer to the bottom or in the middle?
On the top.
On the top? That's perfect. Okay, Hannah, what was your second question that you wanted to share?
Well, how does geography differ from place to place? Or like features, or like what features make up, I don't know.
No, that's perfect. How does geography differ from place to place? That's actually a really good question because that's why the weather is different in different places. Okay. So we're going to come back to these when we're done reading and see if we can answer some of them. Okay, so I want each of you can either do it on the back of this sheet of paper or in your notebook. And I want you to make a T-chart, so something like this. Okay, and then in the top left, I want you to write notes. And then in the top right, I want you to write questions. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take notes using this while we do our reading. So go ahead and flip to where the article starts, where it says why geography is important. And what we're going to do is as we read, we're going to take turns reading the different sections. And after we read a section, I want you guys to write down on the notes side what you thought was the most important from that section. Something that you thought was really important from that section. And it can be word for word, or you can just write something summarized in your own words. But just something from the section that you thought was really important. And then after you write your note, I want you guys next to it under questions to write a question that your note would answer. Okay? So we're going to do that after every section. So we're just going to take turns reading through here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 sections, okay? So you just have to write one note and one question to go along with your note. Okay? Okay, so Alicia, can you read the first section about why geography is important?
Geographic literacy is crucial for the future of America. We're now far behind. The 2002 National Geographic Roper poll indicated that of 9 major countries, the United States ranked second to last, above only Mexico in geographic knowledge. On a recent survey in 2006, only 1 out of 10 Americans aged 18 to 24 could find Afghanistan on a map of Asia. 7 out of 10 could not locate North Korea, and 6 out of 10 could not find Iraq or Saudi Arabia. These are simple map location questions, further suggesting that Americans may not know much about the economic, political, cultural, or military importance of these areas. More and better geography in our schools can correct this deficiency. Learning geography will create citizens who are able to understand and do something about some of the major issues and problems facing the United States and the world, including climate change, energy dependence, war and regional conflicts, globalization, and international terrorism. American decision makers need geographic knowledge to maintain our moral, our moral, political, and economic leadership in a world of complex cultural and environmental relationships. As a measure of its importance, geography has been included as a core subject area in the 3 most recent national education plans: America 2000, Goals 2000, and No Child Left Behind. Since 1985, the National Geographic Society has supported a state-by-state program to return geography to its rightful place in U.S. schools. See back cover.
Perfect, thanks Felicia. So the reason why I picked this article, you guys, is because in this first page about why geography is important, it talks specifically about why it's important in education. Okay, and so for your notes, something, for an example, and actually I want for your question for this one, I want your questions to all be the same. For this one, I want your question to be, why is geography important? Okay, and then I want you to pick something from this section that we read about why you think geography is important. So why is it important for us to learn it in school, and how is it going to apply to you later? So I could write as a note the first sentence: geographic literacy is crucial for the future of America. And I'm just going to give you guys 30 seconds to a minute to do this. So. Okay, perfect. Now go ahead and just draw a line under that when you finish writing your sentence, and we'll move on to the next section. So now this first section that we read is kind of the overview of the article, and now we're going to get into more specific things about geography that are important for us to know. So Michael, can you go ahead and read the section about globalization?
Americans increasingly travel and work in areas beyond our communities, states, and nation. We interact with people, companies, and even governments around the world. The widespread use of computers, the internet, and other information technology systems allows us to experience the world as a smaller and more interactive place. Economic globalization and job mobility require that Americans understand the nature of foreign cultures who represent, on the one hand, a labor force, and on the other, a market area for our products. Geographic knowledge, skills, and technology provide a means to comprehend the rapidly changing physical and cultural environments of the world, and thus prepare us to be better global citizens.
Awesome, thank you Michael for reading that. So go ahead and do the same thing in your notes, but this time, I gave you the question for the first one, but this time I want you to write what you think is important first in your notes, and then I want you to write a question afterwards to kind of guide your thinking. And also, if you have a connection to something that we read and you want to write that instead, a personal experience or something that's not specifically mentioned, you can write that too, as long as it's in relation to the section that we're talking about. Okay, so go ahead and draw a line and we'll move on to the next section here. So Hannah, can you read, oh sorry, finish your sentence.
Cultural diversity.
Yes, please.
Geography requires awareness of the importance of cultural diversity, that is, area differences in language, race, religion, and politics. Generally, how and why people live the way they do.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you. Look, that's specifically one of the questions that we answered. Okay, so try to look for that in your, while we're reading. So that's good that you guys had a question at the beginning that is now answered in the text.
When American citizens appreciate cultural diversity, many issues and problems may be addressed in a positive manner. This awareness is valuable when we try to make sense of worldwide situations as well as those in our own country. Our political, diplomatic, military, and economic leaders need to be well versed in cultural diversity, and geography offers a sensitive pathway to such understanding.
Perfect. Okay, so go ahead and write in your notes again one thing that you think is really important from that, and then a question to go along with it. Also, keep writing, but one thing that I want you guys to be thinking about while we're reading, that's going to help with an activity at the end, are specific examples that you guys can think of in your personal lives that relate to these sections. Like a time when maybe you weren't informed on somebody else's culture and how that affected the way that you interacted with them, or something else that you observed somebody else, a different interaction. And then how maybe you would have handled that situation differently had you been educated in that area. Okay, Alicia, can you read technology and the internet?
The information revolution expands our geographic horizons from local to global. Today, the use of the internet, geographic information systems, global positioning systems, and other mapping technologies give Americans access to a world of spatial geographic information. Whether obtaining and mapping geographic data, finding our way from one location to another, or learning more about specific places, technology has become an integral part of daily life. Many economic, political, and personal decisions now rely on sophisticated networks of computers and satellites. These high-tech systems form a global web that links people and places. Geography provides the key to understanding and effectively using these systems.
Okay, go ahead and write your note. Something to think about, specifically from this section that I think you guys would be able to understand, is think about when you're driving with your parents and they're using their GPS and how different traveling would be without that technology. Okay, Michael, go ahead and read business, industry, and social services.
Geographers have long recited the three most important factors in selecting sites for businesses and industry: location, location, location. Many large firms employ geographers who specialize in assisting businesses and industries to find suitable locations. The widespread use of GIS is helping to identify the best locations for many economic activities. Properly located industries are able to reduce the cost of transporting raw materials and marketing their products. Retail outlets, restaurants, shopping centers, and local businesses may find that a good location results in higher profits and more convenience and accessibility for the general public. Sensible locations for social services such as healthcare facilities, community centers, clinics, and daycare centers benefit the users of these facilities by providing more efficient delivery of public services.
Okay, go ahead and write your note for that one. So something to think about for section 4, the one we just read. A good example of this is when businesses like chain restaurants like Taco John's, McDonald's are looking for locations to put their buildings. Are they going to look for a location on a busy street or in a neighborhood?
Busy street.
Right, and so that's why they hire geographers to come in and find those high economic areas. Yeah,
Could this answer our first question on the board?
yeah, exactly, because think about a small town. How would that be different in a small town?
Aren't very many things to choose from.
Right, there aren't very many things to choose from, and there also might not be a population size big enough to support a restaurant. Yeah, right, to support a restaurant that requires a lot of business. That's a good point, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, Hannah, can you read the section about climate change?
Climate change is continuous. It affects global, regional, and local environmental conditions. Long-term changes in temperature and rainfall can disrupt ecosystems on land and in the water, and require human adaptations to varying conditions. El Nino, La Nina, and reports of global warming are recent evidence of regional and worldwide climate change. Geography is the study of the interaction between people, places, and environments. How climate is changing and what we need to do is a central emphasis of geography. Environmental understanding means good decision making by informed and responsible global citizens.
Perfect, okay, so go ahead and take a note for that one. Okay, the next section, energy, I'm going to read this section. While I'm reading, I want you guys to think about question 6. Okay? Energy. Critical resources vital to all of us are not distributed equally across Earth's surface. This leads to foreign trade, but also to the reality that one country or region is highly dependent on another. For example, Japan and Western Europe rely heavily on the energy resources from Southwest Asia. The United States imports large quantities of oil from Canada, Venezuela, and Mexico. These important resource linkages sometimes become strained when political and economic alliances shift. Geographic knowledge is essential for understanding these complex trade relationships. Learning about geography results in an understanding of how the United States is developing alternatives to heavy reliance on imported oil. Wind power and solar power are on the rise. More cropland is being used to grow corn for ethanol production. Hybrid automobiles are being built, and expanding the use of nuclear power is again being discussed. Also, researchers are trying to find techniques for cleaner use of the world's abundant coal reserves. These are complicated matters with no easy solutions. For example, when land is transferred from corn production to ethanol, to corn production for ethanol. Acreage devoted to other food crops declines and food prices increase around the world. There are important spatial and environmental aspects to these vital economic and political policy decisions. Geography students are well prepared to understand the complexities of such societal issues. So go ahead and write your note, and then I'm gonna have one of you share about how this section is applicable to question 6.
Can I use the restroom?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, you guys finished writing your notes for section 6 then? Okay, Michael, can you tell us what from section 6 would answer our question, how does geography differ from place to place?
Well, different places have different resources. Like it says that the United States imports oil from Canada, Venezuela, and Mexico.
That's perfect. So knowing these things about geography, we'll be able to know which places are doing that trading, and that's important to know. Okay, so let's move on to section 7. And Hannah, can you go ahead and read that one about natural and technological hazards?
Nearly everyone is exposed to natural hazards, including hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, wildfires, landslides, volcanic eruptions, and drought. Some hazard events are much more devastating than others. The Indonesian tsunami in 2004 and Hurricane Katrina in 2005 provided vivid testimony to the dire consequence of living in the pathways of destructive natural hazards. By better understanding these catastrophic events, those who study geography realize the importance of early warning systems and effective local, state, national, and international emergency management and recovery strategies. Human-generated technological hazards such as air pollution, solid and toxic waste materials, and water pollution challenge us to better manage our interaction with the natural environment. Geography students at an early age learn about ways to conserve and preserve our resources and how important it is to keep air, water, and land suitable for future generations. Geography challenges citizens to become better environmental stewards.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead and write in your notes about that section. Also, you guys, this section kind of discusses things that we're not really familiar with because in Sioux Falls we don't have a lot of these natural disasters, hurricanes, wildfires, volcanic eruptions. Okay, so let's move on to the next section here, 8, transportation. Alicia, go ahead and read that one for us.
Humans depend upon transportation, the movement of materials, ideas, products, and people in countless ways. Highways, railroads, airports, seaports, and pipelines are essential linkages that tie people and places together in an increasingly interdependent world. In the United States, the automobile has encouraged urban sprawl and the growth of suburbs. The interstate highway system provides truckers with quality links between origins and destinations. In Europe and Asia, people rely on commuter trains to get from home to work and back again. Intercontinental travel most often depends on airliners, soon to carry almost 1,000 passengers. Geography, with a focus on the spatial interactions between people and places, helps us to understand the need for modern transportation and enables us to plan for the future.
Okay, go ahead and write a note on that one. And also just something to think about is that this transportation section can also be tied into what we were talking about with trade and knowing how those people are trading those goods. Okay, let's move to our next section, section 9. Michael, can you go ahead and read that one for us?
Career and job opportunities for those with an interest in geography are widespread and challenging. Geospatial technology is one of the most dynamic and rapidly expanding workforce categories identified by the Department of Labor. In addition, jobs are available in environmental fields, water, land, solid waste, social services, health planning, community services, real estate, appraisers, brokers, property managers, travel, tours, travel agents, hotel and resort consultants, teaching, and various government jobs such as transportation planner, remote sensing specialist, environmental compliance officer, area specialist for the United States Department of State, regional analyst for the Central Intelligence Agency, and the military. Geographers work in hundreds of businesses and industries, and their knowledge and skills have high value in the workplace.
Okay, before you guys write a note about this one, someone tell me why this is important for you guys to know for your future.
So if we want to do something with geography, we have ideas of different jobs that are similar to it.
That's right, perfect. So it can help you make decisions in the future if it's something that you're interested in. Go ahead and write a note for that section. This is a really good question, Michael, and we're going to talk about that next week. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read the conclusion section. This is our last page. Our daily lives are interwoven with geography. Each of us lives in a unique place and in constant interaction with our surroundings. Geographic knowledge and skills are essential for us to understand the activities and patterns of our lives and the lives of others. We move from place to place, aided by transportation and navigation systems. We communicate using global networks of computers and satellites. We strive to live in healthy physical and social environments. We work to avoid the negative consequences of exposure to natural and technological hazards. We search for interesting destinations for recreation and vacations. We observe and learn about our own culture and other cultures around the world. We want to lead satisfying lives and contribute to the welfare of our communities. Geographic knowledge and understanding is fundamental to researching our goals and in attaining a higher quality of life. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do now. I'm gonna just, a quick recap, I'm just gonna read you guys the titles of all the sections that we read. So we talked about globalization, cultural diversity, technology and the internet, business, industry and social services, climate change, energy, natural and technological hazards, transportation, and employment. And I know that was a lot of information, and I don't expect you guys to remember all of it, but what I want you to do right now is look through your notes and pick one of these questions, 1 through 6, and write the number in your notebook underneath your notes. And I want you to look through your notes and answer one of these questions. And I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes. And I want you to write 2 sentences. I want the first one to answer the question. I want the second sentence to back your answer to the question. So something from the text that can support your answer. Okay, and then we're all going to share. So Alicia, what question did you pick?
I answered the first question.
Okay, so how does geography features affect where people live?
I said geography features affect where people live by providing something good or bad in the environment, One example of this is if you went to school to build houses, you would need to live somewhere with enough land and people to use that job. And this I got from the section 4 on business, industry, and social services.
That's perfect, that's a good example, and I think that that's something that we can all relate to. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Michael, what question did you pick?
I did the how does technology influence geography? So I said, technology lets us learn about different places and cultures more easily. And from the technology and internet section, I had internet, GPS, and other mapping technologies gives us information on many different places in the world.
Perfect. Okay, Hannah, which question did you pick?
I guess I actually answered the same question as Michael, but I
That's okay.
answered it differently. I like how he brought up how technology helps people, like us, learn about geography and like other cultures. But I talked about more how it links people and places together, and without technology, such as a tool as GPS that we use every single day, as people we would struggle to navigate from place to place. And under business, industry, and government, it said that GPS is one of the most dynamic and rapidly expanding workforce categories identified by the Department of Labor.
Perfect. And I really like how you said it links people and places together. And what are some examples of that? Like some things that we use all the time on your phones. Technology that links people and places.
Social media.
Yeah, social media, Facebook, or
Texting.
yep, texting, email. Yep, perfect. Okay, so go ahead and flip to the last page of your packet. This is going to be our assessment activity. So we're going to do a raft writing project. And what this is you're going to pick a topic from our reading. It can be anything that you want. And then you get to pick everything about the piece that you're going to write. So you get to pick the role that you play, the audience that you're talking to, the format of your writing, and the topic. So the example that I came up with for this is my role would be a geographer. My audience would be victims, and it would be in the format of a letter, and then my topic would be natural disasters. So I would be writing a letter to victims of natural disasters. And so I want you guys to go ahead and fill out your table here, and then we'll all talk about what we chose, and then you guys will complete the writing portion of that. So go ahead and do that, and I'll give you guys a couple minutes to do that. Okay, are you guys all done with your table?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, Alicia, why don't you go ahead and share what you chose for your raft?
My role would be a business owner, and the audience would be the people I would hire, and the format would be in like a pamphlet,
Okay.
and then my topic would be the businesses and jobs. So I'd make it talk about all of the good reasons to work there, like having a bus stop really close.
Okay, so kind of an informational
Mm-hmm.
text. That's awesome, that's a really good idea. Okay, Hannah, what did you choose for your raft?
So I did, the role I would be the weatherman, the audience would be the viewers, like watching the news or whatever. Format, I don't know, like.
Just like a paper?
Like him explaining, like the format is listening to him on the,
Oh, like just like
Giving the
if
news.
you're like in a
A
video.
report.
like a
report,
report,
okay.
there we go. Forecast report. And the topic is tornado, and it's actually, I guess the format would be more like, so I wrote out, like, according to the National Weather Service, Minnehaha County will be under a severe tornado warning. And then, like, as the weatherman telling people to seek, like, shelter.
Okay, awesome, that's a really good idea. Okay, Michael, what did you pick?
I said I would be a citizen, so like someone living in a city.
Okay,
And my audience would be businessmen, so people that own like big
company?
companies.
Okay,
And it'd be a letter to those businessmen about pollution and how they affect our health
okay,
and our kids' health. That's what I think I would do.
perfect.
To try to convince them that maybe what they're doing isn't good for us.
So do you know, can you give any specific examples of what they're doing?
I just think about all the smoke that comes out of those factories and
Okay,
things, and
yeah.
how it makes it hard to breathe for some people.
You're right. Okay, before you guys actually write, or finish your raft project, we're gonna go over our objectives again, okay? So our first one is I can identify the key themes of geography. So tell me a theme of geography that we talked about.
Technology.
Okay,
Climate change.
climate change, yeah,
Energy.
awesome. Okay, and I can argue the importance of the study of geography. So go back to your notes, and this was the first, read me the first thing that you wrote in your notes of what was our question, why is geography important? So Alicia, what did you say?
I said geography is important because it can help people learn information that they can use to change or make society better.
Perfect. Michael?
I said geography will create citizens who can do something about world problems.
Awesome. Hannah?
And then I had just wrote, like, kind of like it's important because they say that only 1 out of 10 people can be able to point out on a map where, like, Afghanistan is
Right,
at.
right. So maybe if we taught it better in schools, people would be more educated. Okay, perfect. So go ahead and get started on your writing project, and then you guys will have about 10 minutes for that, and then you'll turn them in to me at the end of class.